At the outset, I would like to thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, taking your precious Sunday off to interact with me. It's a very, very formal meeting. I have it's been deeply honored that the community, your community from Bangalore, should come all the way to India because we work 6 days a week and we get one Sunday off for that. But it's for your community, and I feel very honored to be standing in front of you. I must confess, I'm not a good public speaker, but whatever I say it from my heart. And then there were not two things I just want to highlight before I go on. The one is about the title of the book, because a lot of people ask me, even in Chuchanpur, when this book was released, we had a lot of some journalist friends and all, and local people, what exactly this means. It only means that it was a prolonged war, considering that it was a very small community, we didn't have any organized military structure, and it was just at the spontaneous Paraga movement, with the war took place, and to hold on to the British for 2.5 years was not a mean thing. Ultimately, the Kukis, I won't say lost the war, but they were compelled to surrender because of certain things, which we'll later talk in the book. And but they did good. They lost the war technically, but they won the war in the sense, their honor was vindicated. They stood for certain principles, and that dignity is what sort of should have been highlighted, which I thought was consigned to the dustbin of history for no fault of police. So I have served in Mizoram. That was my first encounter with the Kukis, because at that time, the peak of Mizo National Front, led by Kulalana was there. And then I had served in Mizoram at that time during the peak insurgency period, and there was the Mizo National Army, which consisted of about 20% of Kukis were also there. And there were times when some of these people used to surrender, and the Kukis surrendered not because they felt, they were beaten down, but they felt, some of them felt saying that, okay, they are fighting the Mizo National Army is fighting, MNF is fighting for the liberation of Mizoram, but what happens to us? What is our future? And some of the Mizo National Army and the Mizo National Front leaders could not sort of answer them. So they came over, and I used to, at times, the police used to, debrief them, interrogate them and all, and they said, frankly, you do not know what our future is. That was the reason, not because they got scared or something, they did not surrender because of that. So the title of the thing was very clear. The book, in brief, lost the war, but they won the honor and the pride of the people, which we want to bring to the rest of the city of the world. I'll be happy to say that last 6 months I've been in UK, US and Canada. My children been there. I spent quite a lot of time this time. And there was one book on my way back at the New York airport. There was a very long layover at the John F. Kennedy airport. And then I am very fond of books. I was just at the booklet. I was seeing the latest arrivals were there, and I found my book there. And the book owner, she came and said, so there's one of the latest books you'd like to buy. I looked at her, I said, this is my book. She was delighted. She said, okay, I'll buy this book, please I can copy. And that was a great honor for me. And I said, read the book and about the people so that you get to know. It was a white American, and I hope, this is how the word spreads. Now, I already shared with you my experience in Mizoram. Thereafter, In the 90s, there was a bit of violence, and that is how the cookies it got highlighted, but it was more of a negative kind of vibration and negative reporting which happened. And that gave a lot of people a political handle to further put down the cookies. So the movement got suppressed. I am a member of Northeast Indian History Association, which is run by NEHU, that is the Northeast History University, Hill University, which is in Shillong. And every year, in one of these 7 states, and now the 8th state of Sikkim, they have these seminars. So the last seminar I attended was in Guwahati, and there was one which happened just last week on November 10th, 11th and 12th. I was in US, I could not attend that, but I checked my papers. And then in 2019, when it was held in Guwahati, I wrote a paper on Anglo-Kuki law. That was the first time we wrote. Initially, they were very hesitant. They said, we have not heard of this. I said, they better hear about it. So, fortunately, I was assisted by a girl, a young lady. She's from Chilchapur, someone who got from that place in Mola. Her name is Mercy Baite. She's a PhD scholar. I think she must have just finished. And I was trying to help her out on, she was doing something on Chanakya. So I said, Mercy, how about I am writing this and help me with a bit of material. And when I presented the paper in Guwahati, I found that there was a group of people who were sitting. I didn't know so much about cooking then. Then after the presentation, they all came and said, sir, it was a brilliant piece of paper. We are so happy. And then one of them said, sir, why don't you write a book on this? I thought, immediately I decided, I said, okay, I'll write. And I went to Shillong, Assam Rifles Museum, Archive, and there the curator is one cooking gentleman. He helped me with all the things, and then I came to Imphal. And that was the time when this movie was being made. I met my friend, and there, I met him in Shillong with a couple of people. And I found the initial rushes of the movie, there are some inconsistency and distortion in the army's deployment and other things. So I suggested to Mr. Malga, the director, that can these be corrected? You need some good army guy who can put the whole thing in the right thing. So he said, sir, why don't you help us out? I said, okay, I'm there. And then we went to Uttarpur, and I went with a crew to a place called Hamlet, and you all know. And we camped there. We were there for nearly 2 weeks. And we went through a lot of soldiering, They had to live in very, very sparse kind of brutal conditions. And I worked it out. It was very satisfying. Maybe time permits, we can see glimpses of those shots which we have taken just for the benefit of the younger audience here. Now, I just run through some of the salient things. I don't know how much of time I have got. It's 6:43 now. Yeah, I just take 15-20 minutes to just rush through this. Right now there is peace and lull, all is quiet in Manipur. But then as far as the Kuki movement is concerned, I visited some of the underground camps, which I talked later about during the question or answers. I'll share some of my personal feelings, and I've interacted with some of the Kuki scholars and all. They feel the same. First about the book. It is basically a book about a military perspective. So I have briefly discussed the war, but I have highlighted as an army man what I thought, what my impression about the book was, because it was very difficult to compare a regular, a professional, highly structured army fighting with some the tribes who were, I won't say disorganized, they're not really disorganized, they were quite organized in their own way. But it's very difficult to integrate with no communications. They didn't have any standardization and all of that. So it was an unequal battle. And then, so students of military history will find it very interesting. I am not trying to introduce this book. In the army we have for the officers, all the young officers, they have to study military history. We study about Indo-Pak War, Egyptian-Israeli War, Arab-Israeli War. Then we talk about, the Russian War. We talk about American Civil War. We talk about all the things. Why not talk about, your Anglo-Kuki War? And then there are exams wherein they have to prepare and they have to write. And on an average, 2,000 to 3,000 officers prepare for this exam every year. So if this book is introduced by the Military Training Directorate as one of the books to be studied as an unconventional how a guerrilla warfare is to be fought, I think this book would make a very, very good case study. So I am trying to take it up, and I am sure with your blessings and good wishes, if this book is accepted as a syllabus in the Indian Army, that would be the starting point. And one in the Army is all India character. We have people from Jammu Kashmir to Kanyakumari, from Ukrul to Bhuj. We have people from all over the thing. We have CRP, DSF everywhere. And whosoever reads this, the word will spread very fast. And that's one of the ways we can take it forward, education. Apart from that, the national education policy, those of you who are in the field of academics would know that a lot of things are being done. This is an opportunity. We'll try and figure it out how we can project it and take it to the next level. Now, the book highlights the hitherto unknown military skills of the Kuki community. It was not known. And it was not a plain revolt of common citizens, but an organized armed uprising against the British. The contention of whether it was a rebellion or whether it was a war is given in the book. I will not go into that. And I have argued my case very strongly as to why it was a war and it was not a rebellion. Because it got a totally different legal connotations. My friend is there in the legal expert. He will tell you more about that. Now, some of the drawbacks with the Kuki thing is they did not have a logistical sort of base support. Each village was self-contained. They were very prosperous. They did not go away. A lot of people think people in the northeast were very poor, very backward. It's not that. A lot of these tribes were self-contained. What is at the end of the day your self-containment? America is in heavy debt. There are big countries, European countries are in recession. UK is going through a recession in spite of all the money. But a small little villages, groups, they are self-contained. They grow enough crops, they have enough cattle, the women make enough household things, they are happy. See, that is what. And Kuki, by and large, were very contented, economically, very self-contained, and this thing. But the whole thing was, but they didn't have a logistic base. They didn't have the organized army. They were in clusters. They were in spots all over. Now, whereas the British and Kukis, the soldiers, they did not have pay. They did not get allowances. There were no uniforms given. There were no arms given. Now, each village had their own set of arms. They had their own set of training. But they also had the tribal old procedures, like a dormitory, the local leader, they had their, and the youngsters were never left to there. They were all child silent, and they formed the next one. And whenever there was any threat to that community, these people could muster at a short notice an army to defend that village or a group of villages. It came very, very spontaneously. And there was some kind of a discipline, hierarchy between the elders, the middle level, and the youngsters. And the youngsters lived in dormitory, away from their parents, from morning to evening. It's all there, documented. But what happened between one village and another village, you had different chiefs, and everybody was in his own right. There was a lot of ego problems involved. I'm sorry. Hawkins will not say Christian and they will not. So they will say, even now there are people which are there. He said, you have written, some people wrote to me from Manipur, you have highlighted so and so hero. But our heroes also, I said, but they are all cookies. As far as I am concerned, they are all cookies. So at time, as it is, you are a very small population. The first thing I tell them is, you improve grow your population. You must have a population, but I don't know how to do it. But I think you are a very small community, and even that you are scattered. And even there, they say 3 cookies will never see, 2 cookies are friends, but 3 cookies mean politics. Each will have their own view. It's a good thing, but then you can't stretch it too far. It's a weakening movement. Please close your eyes. There you are. Okay. Whatever it is. For me, a cookie is a cookie. So don't get me wrong, but then I am just speaking the truth. Well, the British troops were professional soldiers. They got their pay from the monarchy. They got from the King of England. Their pay came, paid allowances, defense accounts. They had a very systematic thing. This Assam Rifles, they had pensions, they had pay, they had medical facilities and all that thing. So they were professional soldiers. But for a cookie it was boring. For him it was a question of honor, it was a question of survival of his own community. And yeah. Now I just want to take a little thing on what are the highlights of Anglo-Kuki War. First of all, it was a war which was fought for over 2 years. No other thing than India had about 560 princely states, and most of the princely states by 1950s, 1850s, they all surrendered themselves to the British. In 1958, the East India Company was officially taken over by pure history. It was officially taken over. It came under the crown, the British crown. There was no more a trading company. So once it came under the British, the entire Indian states, all these things automatically came under them. And some of these things were given pensions, and the regents were the British who controlled them. They said, okay, you enjoy your life, we will rule the country. Then what is happening? Same thing will happen to Manipur. And in Manipur, the regent was one gentleman by name Higgins, who was, I think, bad boy, who started all this. There were a lot of people who were not very clear. I am the first one who did research on Higgins, J.C. Higgins. And then I went to London, I tried to inquire where it is, we got a small little, there's a museum of his. I met David Hawkett, one of the cookies, he's the vicar of your royal churches there. I had a lunch with him, we were supposed to meet just for half an hour, 45 minutes, but we had a long, 3 hours thing we spoke about. And a very fine gentleman. And recently, I think he keeps coming every year to Manipur, those of you who had the privilege of meeting him. Now, if you all know the background, I don't have to read it, all given in the book, if you find time to read it. Now, the background to this is British wanted labor for construction of infrastructure in France. Because in the First World War, what happened, Germany was very strong. They overran France. And after that, the next target was Britain. So Britain knew that Germany was at their doorstep. So they had to rebuild France and they had to prevent an attack on England. So they wanted about 50,000 labor. And where the labor could come from? Other countries. India was under them. So they said, okay, you muster labor. And 2,000 labor was supposed to come from northeast alone. Northeast. Northeast, I was not there at times. Mizoram and these areas. It was basically Manipur. And the king had promised, okay, I'll give 2,000. And they were able to muster labor from, it was called the French labor corps. And they were able to muster labor from Mizoram and Nagaland. They decided, willingly. But when it came to the Kuki leader said, we will not do the labor job. You enroll our soldiers, we will come. But we will not be coolies. No, because there was some miscommunication, apparently, and J.C. Higgins was the one who called the shots, because he was the regent in the palace with, at that time, the king there. And then these people, they tried to get wrong. And also, at that time, there was a lot of destruction. There's so many people who went, they never came back, they died. There was some kind of a fear. That is also one of the reasons. And also they were not given the last burial, the rites and all that. So the people refused. But the bottom line was, Kuki said, we are traditional martial soldiers. Okay. You recruit as a soldiers, we will go, but will not do the job of, it was a question of dignity, it was a question of prestige. They stood their ground. So immediately, the British underestimated the resilience and the seriousness of these chiefs. They didn't take them very seriously. They said, chalega. We'll just say, don't worry. And then a series of meetings started. Then you had the rituals of sacrifice of the matrimony and distributing the fire and the meat and all that. That was the core. A lot of people, what they don't understand is that ritual was a core because they didn't have, cookies are not educated. They could not read, write, and not document. Nothing was documented. It came by a tradition, a word of mouth. People saw their fathers, forefathers doing it and it kept on going. Till of course missionaries came and then there were a lot of changes which took place. So when this code circulated around and this rhythm was carried and then it was sacrificed, that was the chasar, that famous meeting. And that was a flashpoint and suddenly there was this spate of violence which took place and Britishers were absolutely taken aback. They said, what's happening? The whole of India, we never seen any, this kind of a backlash. And here we see this mischievous community and suddenly they all woke up. So that was the defiance of British Kuki to enroll as labor. Now, British Army started retaliating strict measures. The whole battle which took place in 2 years can be described in 3 phases. I just put it in 3 lines in order to save time. In the first phase, the Kuki ambushes and their they built stockades. Stockades are basically some kind of a fortress for the villages. They got all the local timber, they knew how they were good carpenters, and they had a lot of military sense how to make obstacles. They made those bungees, those spikes. Nobody could attack a village. And they had some very good firearms. They had very good bows, arrows, and all that. They had firearms. British were absolutely shocked to learn because somewhere in 1893 and all, they had given amnesty. Please surrender all your arms. So obviously all that junk of puta, they gave it to them. The real one, they had kept it. And suddenly it came out in 1971. This is a shock. Where did this come from? And in some places they used small little cannons, and cannons, modified cannons, made out of bitumen thing, that explosives, and it was one-time use, but it was deadly. And they used gunpowder, and gunpowder they used it with, I went and saw how they manufacture, Every house they had the urinals, they collected the urine, they extracted the sulfur out of that. This is all the job of scientists. And now I heard Kuki saying, I said, why don't you become doctors, engineers and all? He said, no, scientific. I said, you are just into history and philosophy and theosophy and all that. So, no, science is not our. I said, what? Not science. Your forefathers were great scientists. The Britishers were surprised, where is so much of gunpowder coming from? Because no other place nearby was supplying. And the British are good intelligence, they said, there's something to the day banata hai. And they have seen how they make. And those clips sometimes they share it. So that was the first phase. In the second phase, here in the first phase, Kuki dominated. They shook the British. British then had to get help from Burma, police, and the Assam Rifles from India. They had 3-4 battalions. Some of these battalions were supposed to go for the World War I to Europe. They changed. They said, no, this is our priority. What can you fight in France when you can't hold it? So you can see the seriousness of that. British are very smart. They were very smart. They could analyze the whole problem. And Shakespeare came at that time. And then there was one Major General who was deputed. He took the whole operation under his command. And from Burma, the police came from the east to west. And Assam Rifles, Burmese, they acted as an anvil and a sledgehammer. So you need an anvil, you need a sledgehammer. They stopped all the movement of Kukis who were, trying to escape. And then from this side, Assam Rifles cornered them. So this was phase 2. After initial resources, this is British recovered, reorganized their resources. They gave a lot of funds, and they took very tough measures. And where the British did certain things which is unethical, because later on you have the Geneva Conventions came, what the armies can do, what the armies can't do. For instance, you cannot poison a well where the troops are there. The pipeline is there, water tank is there, you cannot poison that. You cannot use viruses. You cannot use pandemic kind of diseases and all that. So, as the Geneva Convention, the rules are very clear, and the law is very clear of that. But British, what they did was, the Kuki leaders were fighting the war in order to compel them to surrender. They burned their crops, they killed their cattle, all the poultry and all. They had, Kukis had a nice granary system. They had to have enough food grains for the next season, and they burned the whole lot of them. And they burned their houses. There were pregnant women, there were small children, they were very ruthless. So with some of these leaders who could not see the plight of their old parents, children, they came and surrendered. Now that was the way ultimately they won the war. It was not a very, and I spoke to a lot of people whom I know and all, I said this, and they agreed. The present generation of British are different. Then in the third phase, they consolidated their gains and went on a counteroffensive. And in a counteroffensive, a lot of key leaders were pressurized to surrender, and their families were held to ransom, which I already said. Kukis surrendered, and there was a trial carried out. A lot of them were given, a rigorous imprisonment. Then the next started, the civil reform they started. They reorganized the territorial jurisdictions, and the Kukis, which were, they're all, some of them were moved to Burma, some of them were, and they made sure that they did not stay as a bloc, because that would have created a problem. They dispersed the Kukis all over. So that weakened them politically. They created a rift between the Nagas and the Métis, Earlier the cookies were around the hills and all. They had a very good relationship with the royals. There was mutual respect. Their territories were never clear. Cookie land was there, so that this never belonged to them, and neither side claimed that. But later on, they brought so much of that. Today you find there is making and cooking. There's always a little stand up. In fact, when I wrote the book, I got some very critical thing from a lot of bakeries and government to support them. I said, I'm only bringing out the truth. You should also accept this. I said, they don't have any hard feelings. Why should you? I said, I'm waiting for a dollar who come and convince me. I said, what is that wrong guy? Same thing about that. Now they say, no, this is thankful, you have all those things. All very pretty. I said, just like cookie is one, Northeast is one. People should unite if you want to progress. How long they will keep on fighting? Life is very short. So now cookies were once upon a time dominating that entire, they become a political entity, a non-entity. Today, you have a very small population, even that is not very clear. Nobody has been able to document. And you try to search, the tribal ministry of tribal testing and all. So many, the figures are very confusing and very contradicting. So just about 4 or 5 lakhs or maybe more or less. Now, what is the future ahead? Okay, on one hand, you have a glorious history, you have something to fall back upon, you can proudly say, but you cannot survive on that. And that can be used always as a credential because you have got a background. And I'm glad that so many people are in Bangalore, some of you have been there for 20, 30 years and all, safety. A lot of, I travel a lot, wherever I go, I do find plenty of cooking. And I think in the last 7, 8 years, there is a lot of infrastructure changes which are going on. There was a time when you did not have a graduate among the cookie in the 60s and 70s, even 80s, hardly anybody. But today, any university you go, they're all doing doctorate, scholars, PhDs. Every time I go, I would like to meet the scholar community, and they're very open. Because unless you come out to see the rest of the country, being here, like in US, the Indians are doing a great job. CEOs of all the top companies, all top hospitals, engineering firms, everything is run by Indians, including we have UK Prime Minister of Indian origin. There are a lot of changes which are taking place. So you being here, being a good job, doing a lot of cooking, I know a lot of you are in service industry, but no matter where you can do a lot for back home for your people there. Okay. Now, the jobs in armed forces, cookie is basically, they have natural skills, they are natural fighters, they come from a very martial race if you look at it. For hundreds of years, there's one chapter in my book which I said that you must find there can be very good sharpshooters, commandos, special groups, anti-terrorist groups. They raised an Nagaland regiment in 1971. I remember at that time in Ranike, in Kumau Hills at that time. And then they have got 2 Mizo companies there. But cookies are there in CRP and a few Assam rifles and all. But I said they said we don't have enough population. I spoke to some of the former deputy chief of the army staff. He said the problem is, even if you start, when people retire, you don't have enough people coming in because the population is so small. So I said, okay, make it then companies, special forces, something like that. Maybe at some point of time it will see, because cookies were branded as bad boys by the British, and they completely tried to erase their identity. Okay, which is what he mentioned. It is not there. Our history books are highly distorted. We are talking about a small thing. Even our own Indian history books, other than the Nehru Gandhi family and the Mughal, there is nothing in the history books. But today, a lot of things are. I am doing a research on your Okay, the largest bag from Busan was an Assamese thing. He was the one who fought the Mughals and 17 times that he defeated. He is not mentioned anywhere. But today, the Ahom dynasty people, they are one of their top generals, that largest and I know, I'm sure some of you may be knowing or from the history. So, then cookies are very good at the skill job, they are good in sports, very good in sports. It's time you think, you come out more, you try and you have to earn your identity. Job is only. My next, in fact, there are a lot of demands and requests from people when I went to Zawadi, when I went to other places, wherever I was talking, saying that this sciences you must study and engineering and other things, sports. They said, why don't you write a sequel to this book of social sciences? I said, I'm a soldier, I can write something, but on social, I want to do more studies about history, get to know your own tribes. And you should come out very honestly. All your weaknesses, your good points. Cookies are very bad diplomats. You cannot argue with it. When I say bad diplomats, that diplomacy is an art which they should have, they could have negotiated. There was a time when the British came down on the knees in phase one. They were so shaken, they said, okay, we'll give you what they want. But some of the leaders said, no, you have done the wrong thing. They said, okay, you have done the wrong thing. Tell me how we can, but they would not listen because it was beyond their control. There was no communication. Each one of them, so somebody defied somebody else, and so there's a little bit of diplomacy which is required, which will come through, I think, gradually by education. And Cookie, you must undertake research. You're all ambassadors from the Cookie land, and you must set exemplary conduct. I'm sure you all people are enjoying the beautiful Bangalore, the beautiful city, the big city, and it absorbs all the people, welcomes all the people. So it's very nice. I belong to Bangalore, although because of my army and most of the time I was moving around, I had my early education here. And that's about it. I think I have taken more time than most people to be. Now I'm open to question and answers. If there's anything that they would like to ask.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an enlightening anecdotes of your experience while writing a book about the cookies. As we all know, the cookies are a tribe that doesn't have their written record of what they have faced in their lives. It's always an oral tradition passed from father to son or to grandson. Therefore, it has been, as you know, bound to change or manipulated by people who are more on the writing side of the British. So senior category or class 6 7 and 10 January. A winner was kind hot body time. So the winner of the first the senior category is Martha Hawkins. May I request Martha Hawkins to come and take your prize for securing first in the drawing competition. Junior categories. And I also call upon Iliana Finzen who secured second in the drawing competition. For the card, I call upon Anglo-Kuki. Yes. Now I call upon all the holders of the constellation. First, I call upon Sintay Hatotang. Alam kita ini ông đầu lệ số lên kim cả đến Abana này thằng quân lên kilo thằng quân lên kilo Abana này bao nhiêu thằng đầu việc bao nhiêu thằng đầu việc Abana lên Bao nhiêu thằng đầu việc ông nói Allah bị ông nói ông thật là ông nói là số lên cái tài chính tai Allah dengan lingkun họ followed by green For next, I request the senior secretary to get ready. First is Kim Misal. Second, I request Gugun Anglo-Kuki. For that, I request Daniel Hawkins to come and take your prize. And I also request the constellation holders to get ready. First is Gijan Hawkins. Jongre Hoyhasi. Lydia Hawkins. And then it goes on there. Say Golden Hawkins. Say Golden Hawkins. Ông terlalu lama di Thank you to Ms. Boylem and Mr. Emmanuel for the prize distribution as well as to the chief guest. Now let's proceed to the next item that will be a Q&A round. This will be led by Bodham Lacha Hokip as well as Mrs. Hingdowell, who is currently our treasurer. So I call upon Lacha and Hingdowell to conduct the Q&A. But before that, we would like to have a few brushes of the Anglo-Kuki word movie, which was lovingly brought by our chief guest of today. So may I request the answers to switch off some of the lights so that we can have more visibility on the projector screen.
These are just samples. So some of them are rehearsal. This particular thing was a raw rehearsal. I thought that we were supposed to do date of, Right now, I am on one of the highest elevators in the northwest of Manipur, close to a hamlet called Handa. We are doing a documentary on the Anglo-Kuki War of 1917-1919. We have a sample of the Kuki warriors in their typical local dress, which was at that time the ancestral code. This documentary film is basically to inspire the new generation of Kukis and the world to know how these brave people, they put up a valiant fight against the British to protect their honor and show their courage. What you just saw was a sample of the ferocious battle cry which was heard 100 years ago by the ancestors of this glorious clan, the Kukis. 100 years ago, it sent a chill up the spine of the British forces when there was a war between the British forces and the Kukis for the Anglo-Kuki War 1970 to 1990. It was then that this handful of men, brave warriors, whose ancestors took on the might of the British Army. The Kukis were compelled to take this armed action for the simple reason that they refused to surrender to the diktats of the British when they wanted to enroll them as porters. They felt it was demeaning and insulting. They refused to go down to the dictates of the British, whereas the other tribes in the region had already signed for French labor code, which was to be utilized in France. This angered the British, and the negotiations between the Kukis and the British failed, and thereafter the Kukis tried their best to negotiate.
사회에서는 아주 의미가 나옵니다. 뭐든지 뭐가 좋은데 지금 사람보다 행복하다 한가락들이 그리고 그게 이거 나는요 이게 너무 민나라 사사에 나가는 게 있는 거네. 너가 말하지. 가만. 아니야. 나는 내고 너무 나사사를 때문에 너무 한번 건드리지. 무시한 아니 완전 그냥 이또 왜또 지금 한번 준비 이제 아무것도 말고 이제 내가 하는 다음에 아니 그래서 한자분이 어리고서 위도가 버리게 이소기는 어째 괴롭히고 있는데 그
Ladies and gentlemen, what you just saw was a small little clip. So this film is about 2 hours. Half the film was made and due to some reasons, it was put on hold. Now I'm told that the film again is going to be restarted. When this film was initially conceived, and it was planned that my book and the film is going to be released at the same day in in Far. And somehow that could, and we even thought we would do it in Delhi, but somehow due to some reasons, it could not work out. But this is, I don't have few other clips. I wish I could have shown. Some of them are really very, very good. Some of you may be knowing that one of your very good singers is there. Her name is Helen Boy, who sings very, very well. She was a part of the thing. And there's a very little romantic interview of how a soldier is going away for a war and how his lover feels and all that. It's a very well picture. I hope you get to see. Now these are all some copyright issues are there. It's only I shared it as a reference. So it's not to be discussed. It is just because a new movie is going to come out in any case. If you got any questions, I can take it on. Otherwise.
Okay, let me just read it out. He said, "Sir, we are really honored to have you I'm writing about the people Kukis, the neglected people in the Indian history who fought the mighty Britishers. Hope and pray that your book will enlighten the people of India about the forgotten mighty warrior who fought for the freedom of India. So here comes his question. He says, number one, what makes you to write this book based on the Kuki Anglo-War? That's his first question. Second, do you have any further plan to research about the Kukis? And yeah, that's it. So I think we should.
I think the first question, what motivated me to write a book was very clear, because I thought there are very few examples and instances in Indian history when a small community could take on the huge the British Army, because even most of the very big kings at that time, whether they are Marathas or Rajputs or all these kings, they feared the British. But how these small groups, which were not really integrated, they were not, they were the loose kind of organization yet. What is that motivated? So this was a kind of, it mystified me. So I thought I should get into the truth of it, and I was very happy. Like I said, when I submitted the paper along with your Mercy United, she was the co-author during the seminar. It really got interested, so I thought I should go into the details and write this book from the military perspective. Because tactically, I thought the Kukis were far superior. It is only that the British had solid administration behind them, and a war like this normally cannot sustain if you are not organized logistically. So the Kukis, if it was only a 1 month, like one day cricket or T20, T20 or something like that, Kukis would have won all the 5 matches. But this was a long drawn war, and it didn't come easily to the British. The British spent 28 million pounds. It's a very, very big amount. In today's terms, you can say it is about 3-4 billion pounds they lost. It was not easy for the British also to swallow that thing. So they did put up a good fight. So the second thing is, I do want to do research. I want to write about the social, economic thing and the future of the way forward for the Kukis. Not future, I'm too small a man. But what is the way forward to the Kukis from my point of view? Not from my point of view, from a Kuki point of view. How should they go forward? So that I'm thinking, with your support, cooperation, you all feel I should do it? The first book which I wrote, I must here thank and compliment all the Kukis, because I got it published with Ocean Press, and they put it on Amazon and things like that. And the first one to buy this book, it was released on 15th of January this year at Tirupur, and that day we had a crowd of about 500 people. The local people were all there, and the book had been printed in Guwahati, because the Ocean Press said we cannot print so many books, we can print maximum of 100, and shipping those 100 to Tirupur would cost me 11,500 rupees. I said I don't have that kind of money. Yes, I said you give me the soft copy. So they gave me the soft copy. I got it published in Guwahati with Professor Hawkett with his help. And he got it printed at a very fair price, and he brought it in 1 or 2 vehicles all the way to Tirupur. He sent it there. Very kind of him. A big round of applause for Dr. Hawkett. And then he said, how many copies should I print? I said, how many copies do you think will sell? Because for every copy I want to pay as an author. So he said, when I asked Maramno, the local MP and all, they said, we'll take 500 to 600 books. So when I spoke to the professor there at the printing press, they said, you get 1,000 copies printed, it will come cheaper. I said, who will buy? And I'm very touched and proud to say that all 1,000 copies got sold. And at the end of it, we didn't have copies, so I just said, get another 50 copies hardbound and keep it there. So it is still like somebody asked about 10 copies. I said, okay, send it here, 5, 10 copies. After this, I had that. You'll be surprised that somebody, when I was flying back from Guwahati to Bangalore, I was just going through the book. This is the only copy I had. And the air hostess, she said, sir, what is this book you are reading? I said, this is a booklet to be. He says, can I buy it? So I said, if you are really serious from Arunachal Pradesh, I said, if you are really interested, I'll give it to you. I mean, you don't need to pay. So she insisted on buying. So I said, okay, I give it to her, so I don't have a book. I don't have, the online copies are there, but wherever I go, I just see that there's only one copy. In my own colony, about 5-6 people had bought it, so when I want it, I just refer. It happens sometimes, So the next copy, if I get that kind of, for an author, it's not about making money, because at my stage in life, I don't need to make it. I get 2 times का वक्त का रोटी मिल जाता है. I'm quite happy. I just want to share, and the next book, I promise you, it will be much, much better book, and it will be much more interesting. More and more people should read in India about this, and in India and the world.
Sorry, sir, you have to just with one mic. Sorry for the inconvenience. The next question is from Pastor Andrew. He's here. Can you please? Thank you. And Pastor, the previous question was from him. So the question is, what does it mean by the phrase "victory in defeat"? In which way Kuki won the war? So, sir, there is 3 questions. The next one is your book entitled "The Anglo-Kuki War, 1917 to 1919." I'm just reading it as it is. Do Kuki as a nation considered an independent nation in fighting the mighty Britishers? Based on the Linguistic Survey of India, Vault 3, Part 3, Kukis live in her independent hill country. So, Pastor Andrew quoted from the Linguistic Survey of India, the book. And the third, is there any hope for Kuki people politically? Ama phat ko sa floor on sit and ginumin la question here to the laya ki chai in na ai ni janai to phat utilize volunteer in about phat I think ama the writer who's of laya on peda ai ni jana to go in thank you the whole lot of the na so the phat kan idea sister.
I can only answer this question about the peoples as an independent state or something. Within the framework of the Indian Constitution is we have all first of all, even bigger states, which have got let's say 4 crores, 5 crore population, find it very, very difficult to sustain as an independent nation. But some kind of an autonomous kind of thing, I don't know, I'm not a politician, I don't understand much of this, except that anything within the framework of the Constitution should work fine. And there are a lot of advantages of being a part of a very big nation. Like there are so many countries in around the United States, they all want to be part of it, because when you're part of it, you get those resources for your development. But we have very hostile neighbors, own border, and the thing, any small nation have got no future, no survival. They just swallow it up. You see what is happening to Nepal, Bhutan is threatened, and the biggest issue is, Kuki hasn't got a contiguous land. They don't have one parcel of land. You know, in a large, you have 100 square feet here and 200 square feet there, 300. So in between, there are large gaps. But somewhere together, if you negotiate with your neighbor and for a continuous one piece of land, first of all, you got to get but an identity, Kuki identity can be built within the framework of the constitution. Your cultural identity is important. Your cultural identity, people they should definitely do. In fact, the last time which was this place, I had gone to Delhi. It is not Delhi, Punjab border. I was going in some restaurant. I found a young boy who was from so he was working in Uttarakhand, and I was talking to him. I said, "Are you from? Where are you from?" He said, "From Northeast." I said, "Where in Northeast?" He said, "Manipur." So I said, "I could make out." I said, "Are you Kuki?" So he looked at me and he said, "How do you know?" I said, I just thought so. I said, "But why do you feel ashamed in saying that I am a Kuki in the first place?" Yeah, you can say I am a Kuki from Northeast. That's about all. That's So that identity you should have, your cultural identity, your ancestral thing, be proud of it. But as a separate nation, I don't think it is a possibility because it is not easy. And more so since you don't have a single part, which part of Manipur can you claim as yours? You are all in pocket, you are all in illegal areas and all that thing. So that's it. Beyond that, I don't know much about it. And yeah, I think I have answered all the questions.
Can I explain further?
Oh, sure, please. In the meantime, the floor will be open after this.
Thank you, Dr. Colonia, for your answer. I respect what you said because you should be even within the framework of our constitution, I understand. But the point that I ask is that before this 1917 to 1919, survey of linguistic survey of India was written by British itself. So in that, the preamble, it says that there are Kuki hill countries and they give all the borders also. So I'm asking is that, is it British thought that these Kuki people has their own independent country? That was my point, question. In their mind, when they are fighting this. No, it was before this fight. So that was my question.
These are all administered areas with my own limited understanding. Because there was no survey which had been carried out. Even today, if you see the area of Northeast, and there are a lot of these forest hills, they are not clearly demarcated hills. It was a kind of loose boundaries and understanding between the valley people and the Meiteis or the rulers and the British had not earmarked, demarcated to claim it as their own. Okay, that is why that question, that initially background, if you read, I tried to explain it there, saying that the British assumed that it was part of their territory and therefore they called it territory. But Kuki, they said where is this gazette notification that it is a part of it? They considered it as an independent thing. And that is why they waged a war against them. Kukis called it a war. So technically I think Kukis were right. But the present thing, if you look at it, I don't know the latest. I think there is a negotiation going on about these are the things. There are some people who are already involved from both sides trying to I'm not very clear on it. Thank you so much.
Know a little about that. Mr. Colonel, I also want to bring to the highlight that all the few people present here, they're probably the most intellectual people here in Bangalore. So please do not count us by the number. Let us count the quantity, not quantity, the quality. Sorry. And like comparing to Georgia, where you said there were 500, so we are not even a fraction. So I just hope that you understand. The next question is comparative analysis or differences. Okay. So the question is comparative analysis or differences between the Anglo-Kuki War and other freedom movements of Manipur, like Rani Gaidinlu movement, Kongzong War, or Nupilan. So this is a comparative analysis or differences.
Yeah, now the other freedom comparative movement, you can't really compare them. There were some individuals, who fought, and then it never really achieved those levels. But Anglo-Kuki War, if you look at it, if you document, I think this is the first time some effort has been made to document, collect data, although Major General Padet, in his book, The Sentinels of Northeast or something, he was a DG or some rifles. When I was doing my training in the Indian Military Academy in Dehradun, he was my commandant. And later on he wrote this book. And then in that he has tried to give out the Assam Rifles action, details. He has not spoken about Kuki. What was the action, military operation that the Assam Rifles did? And they fought against, they tried to suppress the Kuki movement because they formed part of the British forces. So there I gathered some of the things. You cannot compare any of these single individual, revolts which took place. They are very insignificant, and they happened much of the Kuki War. But as I tell you, in terms of cost, it may not have costed the British much. But in the Anglo-Kuki War is a properly documented war. See, if you look at the Karnataka wars, British Karnataka and British wars, if you look at the Maratha wars, Anglo-Maratha war or Anglo-Punjab war and all that, for 3 days, 5 days, and 7 days, Britishers gave it, and there were only 300, 500 people involved in some of these wars. They were small little more than a skirmish, I would say. But the Anglo-Kuki War was fought for 2 years, although it was, there were large gaps in between, 2-3 months, nothing happened. And then at that time, the press was also not very active. And it was only 6 months after the first incident took place, in Calcutta it was published in a local paper. Some newspaper guy put it there, otherwise the world did not know. The rest of the British in India also, nobody knew about it. So the press was not there and it happened in the interior. But today, if this book can form a stepping stone, I would say a foundation, researchers from your community should build onto this and write more aspects, political aspects, especially the political part of it. This book provides a foundation for you to build on. Like you build a building, there's the first brick which has been laid, you can take it up from here. And I don't think you should even compare this with the Rani's and whatever, and a few other things. I read all those things, but they are very, very small. They are mainly symbolic. They are mainly symbolic. They were done to project, bring in some kind of identity to that people. The local leaders when they are brought, the people, this is all the political thing. But Kuki War is unique. It stands out. You cannot compare it. As is military, none of these times are about any military aspect. Mine is based on a military analysis has been carried out about Kuki strength and
The floor is open.
Good evening, sir. Myself, Paul Kiptian. I'm Superintendent of Central Tax, presently posted at Bangalore. Sir, I have gone through your books, this Anglo-Kuki and the book is also with me, and I find it very interesting and easy to comprehend. I find the books very informative. For some person or some people, I would say this book may be just a piece of books, but I would say this books is a treasure for the cookies, because we will treasure these books forever. My question is coming to my question, sir. Some writers, scholars call these conflicts between the cookies and the Britishers, 1917, 1919, as rebellions. Britishers will call it rebellion, cookie rebellions, and some scholars call it an uprisings. So my question is, what prompts you to say that the conflict between the cookies and the Britishers in 1917 to 19 is a war, not a rebellion? You have briefly mentioned it in your speech also, but you have not elaborated reasons. So if you don't mind, I want to know why you call this as a war, not a rebellion. That's my first question. And the second question is, so as you know, after every war, there is a consequences impact. I just want to make one reference. During the Second World War, before the First World War, Second World War, the present day of Palestine was mostly inhabited by the Palestinians, not the Israelis. But after the Second World War, the Israelis were in good terms with the Britishers, were given most of the places. Of course, in the Bible, it's a promised land for the Israelis, but the Britishers have given the Palestinian to the Israelis. In the same way, the cookies were never in good terms with the British. As you know, there was an Anglo-Kuki war. Above that, the cookies also joined the INA, when the INA movement was at its peak. So, it was obviously the cookies were not in good terms, were not in the good books of the British. So, we have also mentioned that the cookies, we don't have purple lands to claim. What I feel is, it must be because of that also, because after the Anglo-Kuki war and the cookies favoring the INA, most of the lands and the cookies were suppressed by the Britishers. Many of our villages were burned down and uprooted. So most of our people, my forefathers, have left their lands. So it might be because of their reason also we don't have purple land till today. Even in our today's people used to call us foreigner. We became a foreigner in our own land. So my second question is, do you have any plan of writing about the impact or the consequences of Anglo-Kuki on the cookies in particular, or the impact or consequences in the East India? These are my two questions. Thank you, sir.
I'm not sure if I understood your question rightly, but I got an idea. In fact, when I spoke in Gauhati, I said the same thing. Kuki is a lot like the Israelis. The Israelis that's the Temple of Solomon when it was reduced to a rubble and they were persecuted. The Jews were thrown out from Palestine and then they dispersed all over the world 2000 years ago. And they mostly migrated to places like Europe, Russia, and in India also they came to this place, Kerala, they were there. And most of the places they got persecuted, the only place where they really got some honor and respect, dignity was in India and in Bombay, it was to some extent. But they all, before leaving, they had made a vow that someday we will come back and we'll claim our land. Okay, and for centuries, day after day, every Jew family, they kept on teaching the children about the Judaism, the history of the Jews, and how one day we want to go back. And it is only that persisted, and ultimately, under the Balfour Declaration, I think it was soon after the First World War, the British promised them that we will get this, the Palestinian land. It was a very small land, and the moment it was declared, Jewish in 1948, Israel was declared as a state. All the Jews the world over, they came, they did not know each other's language. Somebody was a Russian Jew, somebody was a French Jew, somebody was an Italian Jew. They did not have a common language. And they started Hebrew right from the beginning, and today they are one of the more formidable nations. Like I said, unfortunately, for any race or anybody to have that, you must have some land which has been identified by one common parcel of land where you are all together, where you are all that thing. It is there, but it is not documented. And one of the reasons why it is not documented is these cultures, they were very advanced. They wrote books even then, there was literature, Kukis had more of that word of mouth, what we call in Sanskrit a Shruti. Shruti is just by word of mouth sounds. There was nothing documented. So I only hope under the present circumstances some kind of identity, cultural identity we can gain, and within the framework of the Indian Constitution which we all come together, some kind of autonomous thing. I don't know, I'm really not very competent on this. I don't know if I answered your question correctly, but how do you identify? First of all, there has to be a claim that this is your land. The claim has to be on the basis of some documents or some other thing. It's all been distorted. The British completely after the war, they displaced the Kuki, they scattered them all over so that they don't pose a threat to them. And the land were taken away. These land, like in India you have Pata land, Khata land, and all, there was no such thing. Just the tribal boundaries. I served in Middle that he is so and so, this area is there, so this area is so and so, this separated by the boundary of a river, this range. So there are no documents. So it's, I think it is for the researchers to sit down and see what can be done. Thank you.
On behalf of the Kuki Students Organization Bangalore, I want to start by saying that personally, as someone who really has a keen interest on history, and specifically Kuki history in particular, and literature in general, we are real grateful to Colonel Vijay for taking all the initiative for someone from the mainstream to come up with a book entitled The Anglo-Kuki War 1917 to 1919. We are beyond grateful, and I hope the coming future generations
and interact with him even today. As we wind up our time, we would like to say thank you for your guidance from the beginning. Help us to be a good citizen and also give us love toward one another, not to divide, but to love one another and support one another, so that our community may be better than this. Yes, we're going to look forward to the next book. Lord, we pray that bless our writer, and also we pray that whenever he is going and do research work, Lord, I pray that please be with him and then guide him in the way that what he wants to achieve and he wants to show forth to our people, Kuki, at the same time of our nation India, so that all of us may know that we have some history which is to cherish and which would make our people united and serve the nation, and we live together in peace. Thank you, Father, for being with us today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
May I request everyone for a photo session this time? Photo session. Let no one leave. Let's take